long on that Arizona deal. At least I wasn't in a damn.
Is that your quail down there, Holland?
Yeah. I got one running around here somewhere loose. I don't know where it went. Yeah. If it's still alive.
How many quail did you say you had?
I probably got close to 900 or so now.
Good gosh. Now you sell them or whatever? Or?
Yeah. I done sold 100 so far this year.
Lord have mercy. That's the first Bob White. Of course, it is in a cage or whatever.
Yeah.
The last wild one I heard was 2016, and that was down on that where I used to live in that bottom.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was walking the power. That's the last wild quail I heard, and that's 8 years ago.
Yeah. You run there, you hear that damn close. I ain't heard one so long. Neighbors around so they can hear them when it real quiet. When they're Bob White, you know, they're just calling down there now. They ain't. I had one that some bitch would call every 5 seconds.
All right.
All day.
It's wild. Wild like that. I used to hear them back on what they call Mill Creek, back on that goes over to Lexington.
Yeah.
Back when it was still owned by West Vaco after Owens, Illinois.
Yeah.
You'd hear them back there in the wild. And when I was on that lease back there for 10 years. And never, even the ones they turned loose back there I told you about, never heard those call. But when I was probably 10, 12 years old, my dad and I would camp along that creek in there, and you'd hear them in there on that gas line.
Yeah.
And ain't heard one. I haven't heard of one since back in there. Now I tell you what, it's eat up with grouse.
Oh.
It's grouse back there everywhere, but there's no quail left. Even those ones that guys turn.
Damn grouse.
Yeah, even those ones them guys turn loose back in there.
Yeah.
I bet they're all gone.
Oh yeah, don't take too long.
But anybody watching this video, I said, it's very informal. I said go get together with Jimmy and we was just gonna go over some stuff, talk about some stuff a man's done in his hunting career. And you know, we're not filmographers or TV show people or anything like that. Right. We're just down to earth people, so we just go get through this best we can, and what you hear is the way it's going. What happened. So anyway, I talked to some friends, and between what I come up with, Jimmy, writing these questions down, and some friends, I got several questions I was going to talk to you about. And we'll go over, of course, you know how that's going to spin off. One story will lead to another, but what is your favorite species of turkey to hunt, you think, out of all of them?
Oh, God. The easiest would be the
No, your favorite, not the easiest.
I know.
The favorite.
Favorite.
I know. My personal, I got my opinion on the easiest. I know where that's going to be. You have to go west.
Yeah, my favorite probably Merriam's.
Merriam's.
Because, I mean, there's so many of them in one spot. I've been in as many as 40, 50 gobblers at one time.
Good day.
And, you know, they just roost, a lot of them roost together. And but they'll disperse during the day, but they usually roost in the same spot.
Yeah.
They ain't like the Easterns.
All right.
You know, the Eastern might roost a week in one spot, but then he's done moved, and maybe one day. Yeah. I mean, you know, and makes it a lot easier, but it's just, I reckon, fun just hearing them more than anything.
Yeah. You know, I figured that out from hunting out there with you. And just like behind you there, folks can see in the camera, it's the terrain.
Yeah.
It's the dense tree cover. And out there at west, you have trees and openings and trees, and of course they're going to be where the trees are.
And like I said, they are the easiest, but if you're facing this way and a gobbler comes up over here to your left, just pull around and shoot him. It takes him about 3 seconds to figure out what it is. Right. I mean, they're a little bit slow.
So favorite one would be the Merriam's. Favorite species to hunt was the Merriam.
Yeah.
I know this year, or what was it? Was it this year or last year? You know, it was last spring. What spring was it you got your goals?
This year.
It was this year. That's right, because you finished.
Yeah.
You finished your Super
this
Slam.
Yeah.
You finished that second Super Slam.
Right. Yeah.
Now we talk about that Super Slam. And get out before I get off ahead of myself. Jimmy has completed 2 U.S. Super Slams, or 2 Super Slams, and he's the only man in the United States to do it currently. And that's where you have a gobbler in every state, and he's done it twice.
Well, I'm not sure.
I know that the Daniel Rohr finished the one time in 2011.
1 year ahead of me.
2011.
But he lucked out then.
Yeah.
That's all I can say. I told him the same thing.
Yeah, I know y'all guys talked about it. Y'all was real.
At the time, Arizona, you could shoot a bird out of a tree.
All right. Oh, really?
Yeah, and one evening, the year before he did his, I was in just actually hunting north of the Grand Canyon.
Right.
I was standing on that rim, taking pictures and stuff.
Right.
But there was like 17 permits for that area that year, and I was actually the only guy that even seen one because they had a hard winter the year before, and it just wasn't no turkeys there. I mean, it was bad.
I remember y'all talking about the winter kill. You and Don was saying the winter kill was
tough.
bad winter.
Yeah.
Bad winter on.
But anyway, there was a bird in a tree from here to that oak, about 40 yards maybe. And we drove up, and he was sitting there, and the guy told me I could shoot the bird out the tree. I said, no. I said, I had never done that, and I wasn't going to do it, you know.
Right.
So we drove off, and I think when we drove off, he flew off. Because when we come back next morning, there wasn't nothing.
Nothing,
So,
no bird, he's gone.
No bird, so.
Gone.
That was my only chance that year.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
he finished up the year after that, and then, of course, I finished up with you on the first slam, so in Arizona. So
that was a long year because you and I, when we went, we left here. We drove to Missouri first.
Yeah.
And then left Missouri and went to Arizona. We put some miles on it that day, didn't we? Or that trip.
The worst. You talking about miles? The worst I ever had was I went from I forgot where it was now. New Mexico. I went from here to New Mexico to California, California to Oregon, and Oregon to Washington State, and then it was all driving. The only time I ever flew was Hawaii, and of course after I got over there, I drove.
Right.
But I've had one guy that hunt, and that
blew my mind when you tell me about doing all that.
I've had one guy that hunt, and that was this year.
And you started all that, gas wasn't 3-something a gallon. I remember, boy, that changed things up, didn't it?
But I'll tell you what, when I went into California one year, it was like $5.50.
Wow.
So that wasn't too long. I mean, it was rough.
What is the heaviest? Let's say what was all the birds that you can remember? Because I need to kill so many. What's the heaviest gobbler? Biggest spurs, rather, the one that something that really stick out of being really being a monster type of gobbler that you killed that you can remember, or a couple, you know.
Well, actually, the biggest gobbler and everything was probably the one I did here in Virginia before I started this.
Started the super slam.
I shot one I should have mounted. 1/3 of his wing feathers was bronze, 1/3 of them was black, and the other third was black and white.
Wow.
And he weighed about 26 pounds. I mean, I didn't pay no attention. I wasn't doing this.
Right, yeah, you don't carry no scale
And I
with you.
should have mounted the bird, and I didn't. But he had like 11-inch beard and 1.25 spurs. So,
that's a big body for Virginia. And these mountains, you get a bird like that,
that's what I say.
They run themselves to death up down
nice
these
bird,
ridges.
a pretty bird too. But I didn't. Wrong thing. But
what was your probably top 3 or 4 if you had 3 or 4 states that you had to pick the hunt in, you had to go back, and there was only 3 or 4 states you could hunt in, what 3 or 4 states would you hunt?
Dang.
All right.
Yeah.
This is one of the questions I was asked to ask you. You know, I said, well, I'll try to.
That's bad.
I know, and it's hard to do that when you've hunted 50 of them twice. And you got so many different memories. I understand that.
Well, Hawaii's probably one of them.
All right. What do you think? Scenery or just the experience?
Well, it's volcanic, ground and mountains, and I was on a ranch over there. And actually, the first time I was over there, I was the first hunter, paying hunter,
right,
that they'd had on the place.
Huh.
And
first time like they kicked off their whole guiding thing.
Right.
I remember you telling me about that.
They didn't have a guide.
You pioneered that stuff.
They didn't have a guide. They had one of the ranch hands took me out and said, that way.
Knew where the turkeys was. Kind of like that deal in North Dakota.
Yeah.
Where the Indians took us out and said, y'all go that way.
They go that way. Yeah. That's about it.
Yeah, you just go out. They sit there and wait on you. They got to kind of...
actually, I'd say probably...
So you got Hawaii.
I'd say Rhode Island.
Rhode Island.
Believe it or not. Maine,
Maine,
and
Hawaii, Rhode Island,
I say Georgia probably.
and Georgia.
I mean, I like Virginia's. I just leave that out.
Home, right?
Yeah.
I got you. You know, Virginia always being you can't beat that as far as home place.
No,
That's I tell you, I've told my friends 100 times. It's cost me out turkey hunting. If you can kill a turkey between Maine and Georgia on public land,
yeah.
you kill one anywhere, and that's just my opinion. That's how I feel about it, because it's some tough turkey hunting in these areas, you know, around
Anywhere
here.
you
And I
got,
think the terrain is
anywhere
what
you
does
got
it.
an eastern, but
Yeah.
Maine's not too bad. But the birds up there don't get pressured
Right.
like they do here.
All right.
Rhode Island, I found a honey hole there, so
You told me about that. You fell in on that.
There was a dairy
That's tough
farmer
up there,
up there
ain't it?
let me go,
Yeah.
and it did take me a couple of years. I didn't get nothing.
Rhode Island's like big as a county.
Yeah, that's
Tough to find the ground, they say.
Yeah.
I know that's probably going to be hard on these guys in the future, trying to do that super slam. Rhode Island's probably going to be the one that's
Delaware's going to be a toughie.
right.
And
Changing the laws and
of course,
stuff.
Arkansas. I'm not getting around like I used to.
Right,
so,
right.
it's getting tougher, but Arkansas was tough the last time. That was my last bird the second time around, and
I'm gonna guess the turkey population's probably gonna start increasing. If you ride without you riding around the country,
it's actually down a lot of places, but it might be coming back. But I'd say 10 years ago is the best time we've had.
I think it's just going to increase because you're not running around the country shooting all of them.
Right. You can't kill but one in a lot of places.
Right.
And I've killed two birds one day in Vermont,
Georgia.
Killed three down there.
Killed three in Georgia. I remember that hunt because I had to cancel that year.
Uh,
And your boy went in my stead. I was like,
he
"Daggone
got
it."
three the same day.
Yeah.
And the old boy that run the outfit, he said, had never even come close. There was a boy that was there when we went in, and he was still there the day we killed our birds, and he'd been hunting with the guy for probably 10 years. He said, golly, Ned.
I can imagine. Good day in the morning.
But it was a lot of luck, but
Yeah.
I mean.
What is, I know the answer to this, but this was a question I was told to ask. What's your favorite turkey shotgun? Turkey shotgun.
I got the Benelli
All right.
and Black Hawk, and that's
Black Eagle, the
Yeah.
1 or 2? Which one you got? The 2, wasn't it?
yeah.
I
I gave
remember.
my first one to my son. He's
All right.
got it.
Super Black Eagle
So
2.
this is the second one I've had.
Yeah.
And, but I killed my first one with an 1100.
Remington 1100.
With
Daggone.
2 3/4 inch shells. So, and I really didn't start turkey hunting until I don't know. Yeah, I was 35, 40 years old.
All right.
To tell you the truth.
Yeah.
These young guys, they got it made if they start
That's
like
back
you
when
did
they were
early.
getting ready to sign the Constitution, wasn't it?
Yeah, pretty close. That's what everybody says.
When you hunting in your hunting travels, have you ever met any celebrities on the road?
Yeah, I've met a couple. I can't remember the boy's name now. Here we go.
I know one in Missouri, but I
Yeah.
didn't know if there was any more than that. Steve Stoltz we met in Missouri.
Yeah, that's the only one
Yeah, we
that
talked
I've
to-
actually
really?
met. I've talked to a few of them.
Right. I know you
But-
taught me about, you told me you talked to Eddie Salter.
Yeah.
I know you talked to him a little bit.
Yeah, I even talked to what's the old boy that was the head of the NWTF for a long time.
Oh, I know the one, and he's done it for a long time.
Yeah,
I know.
He's in one of the books.
Yeah.
He got a slam, but he didn't do it. Didn't register the birds.
Didn't register them. Just,
No.
yeah. Well, I guess it's all what you want, your preference. I know what you're talking.
And
I
there's
know who you talk about,
There
'cause
might be a guy out there that's done killed two rounds, but if it is, he didn't register the birds.
I'll look his name up and I'll put it on the. I can when I edit this.
Yeah.
I'll add his name on there because it's on the tip of my tongue, but I know exactly who you're
I
talking
know.
about. What is your favorite, as far as your call that you use to really try to seal a deal once you got set up? Is there any particular call, cluck or purr or
Yeah,
anything?
to tell you the truth, I'll go
Yeah, and you told me
three
about
or four
that.
clucks, and that's it.
Yeah,
I'll use that several times maybe,
Yeah.
but if unless they get stubborn, and I have got to where I had one little bird I killed right across the road here one year. He would answer me, and he'd come up within here, I don't know, 15 yards, but he was right over a hump. and I could hear him strutting and gobbling, and he just didn't want to come up over there. So I just cut loose.
All right.
I said, "What do I got to lose?" He
Right.
wasn't moving, and when I started cutting and stuff, he come up over the bank.
Yeah.
I mean you just have to. I've done that on several birds, but I don't give them much to start with. I think a lot of people overcall.
Yeah.
They really do.
I've kind of learned.
And I'm no expert. I've never got in a competition. The first call I ever had was an old foolproof box lynch call.
All right.
I used it for years.
Yeah.
And
was it the one with the one side or
yeah,
the two? The
one
one sider?
side.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I got a couple of those in the cabinet.
yeah, I got several.
Good boxes.
But
I've learned from you. You know, what you talk about is I've really learned. You know, in the last 25 years, is setup.
Location. I mean, that's on your website.
Yeah.
That's it. Location is the main thing on any of it.
Setup there, where he's coming from and where he's trying to get to.
Yeah.
And you've
Or
told
whether
me
he's
that.
been
And it's
there
like
before.
that's really played in the key as far as over the years I've noticed. That's spot on information
Yeah.
versus trying to turn them around calling. You
I
know.
hunted national forest here down here next to Craig's Creek. And I had a bird down there. He was gobbling. He'd go away about 150 yards, and then he'd come back up the ridge and stop out about 75 yards where I couldn't see him. And he did that about 8 or 10 times. And I finally got tired of it, and I just got up. When I heard him gobble at the other end, I got up and moved to where he was coming.
Yeah.
And as far as he was going to go.
Yeah. You ever did the setup? You've been on him. He strutted up, gone back, strutted up, gone back. When he goes back and you hear that gobbler get distant, get up and make tracks.
Oh, yeah.
And cut him off and get right back to where he was coming
right
to.
where he
Man,
was
that is a deadly move. I swear that's just as deadly as the best call you can carry in your vest.
Yeah. And I've had some help killing birds, not on my trips, but my brother-in-law was hunting with me a good bit here.
Yeah.
And I used him sometimes, and then I set him up and then go and call. And I had one bird I done tried to kill for 3 or 4 years. I know it's the same bird. Whenever I hear him, he's on the same limb. So I mean, it's got to be, had to be the same one. But he'd answer me, triple gobble, and when he hit the ground, he'd answer me. And then the next time I heard him was on the next ridge over. I chased him 2 or 3 years like that. He was not coming to that call. And finally, one morning, this was just me hunting. But you go by him, I walked by him probably 100 yards in the mornings going up the mountain. And I heard him gobble. He gobbled before daylight. And I said, I took the box call. That's when I just had the box call. I took it out and set it on a stump in the old logging road I was in, because I knew if I took it, I was going to try to use it.
Uh-huh.
And I went back down there, and army crawled out within 45 yards of the tree he was in before daylight.
Right.
This is rattlesnake country.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That's what worried me.
Yeah.
But anyway, I got there and I got the gun up and I said, when that turkey hits the ground, I'm going to kill him. And he had no more set foot down when I did shoot his.
One step.
Yep. Well, yeah, that was it.
I had to call him. I probably would have called him one step after that.
No.
You got any preference of camouflage, mix and match, or any particular?
Golly, then. Mossy oak maybe
Yeah.
but I'd mix it up a lot. I don't just stick with that, but I like their stuff.
Yeah, that's it.
I mean, I've wore a real tree.
Yeah.
I've had it all.
All right.
Even had some Florida
Mm-hmm.
stuff I had. But
You remember? I know my first hunt with you. First time I ever went anywhere with you was in when we went to Wisconsin and North Dakota that year.
yeah. And I don't want to hear that story about me falling down there.
I actually had a note. Look, I actually had a note here, rolling downhill.
See a big old fat boy rolling down here.
I remember when that bird come around that ridge, and it was like wide open, where you didn't really, I don't know what you'd call it, point with a field,
It was
because
300 or 400
nothing.
yards every way, yeah.
And I remember you unloaded on that bird, and he was flopping. And I was running the camera, getting him shooting that bird. And about that time, I hear, and I said, "What in the hell?" And it was Jimmy rolling down the hill, and the box call shaking in his vest. It sounded like a bird gobbling, because that hill was straight up. You set up on it, and when you took it was like straight down. We had come around
That's
on the
one thing
birds.
about hunting those western states, though. There's so much open areas. You remember at one time when you was watching me on an Indian reservation?
Yeah, that was
the same year.
North Dakota.
Yeah.
I was watching you 2.5, 3 miles away with binoculars, or at least 2 miles with binoculars. Work on them birds, and you was set up in the only patch of freaking.
It was one bush, sir.
Yeah, it was 10 foot wide. And you was calling, and that gobbler was watching you, and there was another big gobbler coming out of the bottom, coming right to you, and I was talking to you on the cell phone.
7 jakes.
Talking to you on the cell phone, and that one gobbler was coming out of that bottom, and you was sitting in them bushes. I was like, Jimmy, that big bird's coming, and because I could see.
We was talking on the phone.
Yeah, I could see him. I could see the bird, the gobbler coming to you, and about that time, 6 or 7 jakes come up out of a draw right on you, and them things was making a merry-go-round around your bushes. And I could hear you go tuk, 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 on the phone, and then I was watching the birds through the binoculars, and their heads go down. And then about 4 seconds later on the phone, I could hear them all gobbling back through the phone because of the distance to them. But that bird you was after, man, he was pretty. That one that went up over that top.
I know, but he didn't get close enough.
Yeah, that was the first time I'd ever seen an antelope in the wild, moving that country, and learned about that wind on the prairie. Because, buddy,
I know.
That was like deer hunting in the spring,
Yeah.
If anybody out there that goes in those states early in season, you better dress like you're going deer hunting because the climate is totally different.
Well, it's like Utah. I was out there staying next to a state park, and there was cabins. I had a cabin. The old boy lined me up where I could stay in it. And the night before, they were calling for snow, and I woke up and there was 14 inches on the ground. First day of turkey season. So I didn't get out of the house, but I got out. But there was one gobbler about 300 or 400 yards from the cabin and was gobbling that morning. But one tree, you couldn't get nowhere near the tree.
Yeah. I bet he stayed in that 14 inches of snow.
No, he didn't come out.
I bet he stayed up there for a while.
I finally killed one 3 days later. It done melted off where it was just patchy.
I remember we were still working together, and I remember you sending me pictures of that, showing y'all's place where you stayed.
And the Jeep.
The car tops was just, the snow was deep in the roof and hanging off the roof. I said, good day in the morning. It looked like a blizzard done hit y'all.
And they were still gobbling.
And you remember, I think about it all the time. There's two Indians up there in North Dakota. And I remember the one guy's name was Floyd Montclair.
Yeah, he was the one. He had his nephew with him one day.
And that was a big dude.
Yeah.
That guy was like, I was like, God, I hate to meet him out here on the prairie back in 1880 with nothing but a pocket knife. Because that's a big cat.
He was a big dude, I know.
He was 6'6", probably 260.
He was six. He was probably 6'4".
Big old Indian.
Yeah.
Them guys was nice. Not much to say, but they was nice.
And he didn't show up drunk.
No.
That was the main thing.
Right. On the that same year, that Wisconsin, I remember when we went up. Well, of course, that was the same year we hunted with that guy that helped us there. Had that property was Kirk Holiday.
Kirk Holiday, yeah. I've talked to him this year.
What's your take on Wisconsin? How you like that?
Yeah, it was good. It was nice. There was a lot of birds.
Right.
And hell, you could buy 6, 7 permits
right.
if you knew what you was doing.
Right.
He does that every year, but actually New Jersey's the same way.
Right.
You can buy 6, 7 turkey as long as they got them.
The Standing Rock.
Yeah.
Remember those? It was $80 for 2 tags. You could go back and buy them at a gas station.
Yeah.
I remember that.
You didn't get your second one, but I did because
I killed 2 birds, but I didn't buy no more.
Well,
I didn't buy an extra tag.
But I screwed up too. First 2 birds I killed them both at the same time, and they were jakes.
Yeah.
I thought one of them was a longbeard, but I've made that mistake here.
Right.
I'd be calling a longbeard and see him coming, and he get down in the gully or something, and then when he sticks the red head up, I shot him. Well, it wasn't him.
Yeah. I remember you got extra tags because you went back and got you a long beard.
That was the roll down the hill.
The roll down the hill. You got your long beard on that trip. That's right.
That's a roll.
That was a long shot.
Yeah, it was
back then. Nowadays, these guys using TSS and stuff, it would have been nothing. But that was a long shot.
Yeah.
You know, that was probably 55, 60 yards in that open.
Maybe 55. I don't think.
But you know 60. That one bird, he was.
But there wasn't nowhere else to go. I mean,
he was marked. Way he was marked. It was several birds around us that day, the gobblers and stuff, and his markings. I swear he had more Merriam than him because they had. They got a little mixture of hybrid up there with them.
Well, Merriams are not always totally white. They got a little cream to them sometimes.
Right. Yeah, I know. But one thing I remember about those Wisconsin birds, because I told my buddies, I was like, we kill a big bird down here. Anything over, in my opinion, if he's over 23 pounds, 24, that's a heavy gobbler.
I've killed several 24s, yeah.
And you remember in Wisconsin when we had to check those gobblers, you went to the actual check station. They put metal bands on their legs. They measured the spurs and the weight. Everything on them in Wisconsin. I was like, man, this is a heavy bird. Because my bird, I was like, this thing, it was like picking up a rock. And they had a hunting contest at this one gas station, and I can't remember if that town was Prairie du Chien or one above it. I have to look back on the map, the exact little town where we checked those birds. But they had a big gobbler contest, and I'm thinking, yep, I got a big one. I'm gonna enter this thing. Hey, the number one bird on that thing, and it was like the top 8 birds was 30 pounds in Wisconsin birds.
Well, Iowa and Missouri, right on the line there.
Iowa, right across the river.
And I hunted. I mean, I could drive 15 minutes and be in Iowa from where I was hunting in Missouri, but that was a good hunt too. I can't say too much there. Though I hunted a lot of outfitting places, but without a guide.
Right.
The only guide I had was this spring when I went for the ghouls, because I just can't get around no more.
Right.
And I'll probably be one of the few guys that kill one using a rollator.
Oh, I got you. Yeah, I'll tell you you said I remember right off, and I could go in there and put the text on this video. But the guy that helped you with that hunt, you can plug him now. I can't remember. I remember you told me Arizona Outfitters. Yeah. So what was his name? You know right off? Because I remember seeing him. I watched that video the other day.
Yeah, I know right off, but I ain't gonna fucking remember it.
But he done a good job.
Pat. Was, yeah.
That was a beautiful bird.
Yeah.
I mean, come in.
And
you dumped him. That's the one time I can say. I told my wife, I said, I'm gonna wait to see how many times Jimmy shoots. And you only shot once. I said, you done let me down. But yeah, you done a good job with him.
Well, on his video, he was sitting a little bit outside the blind and stuff, and his angle, I could see the whole bird, but he couldn't get. I kind of shot him behind a tree.
Right.
I mean, I watched it myself.
But you know how many? There's some people out there that don't know, as far as the United States, to get a Gould's. I may be wrong. I'll get Jimmy to correct me, but I think there's only 2 counties in southern Arizona that has Gould's. Am I right or wrong?
One place, yeah.
Is it one place?
One mountain range.
One mountain range.
It might be 2 counties.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying.
Or whatever they call them. They call them areas.
Areas, yeah.
Something like that. And it's not a whole lot of territory that's even got Gould's in the United States.
The reason they got that set off is they would have to travel across the desert from hundreds of miles to get with another bird.
All right.
And that's why they sure that they are Gould's.
All right.
Because they were planted in there.
Yeah, if they don't, I mean, there's nowhere. They're not going to
no way to
that.
get nowhere else.
No.
And
that was a nice. How big? How much that bird weigh? You think?
He didn't weigh. I got it on a thing in there, but it wasn't but about 20 pounds.
20 pounds. Because I've read, well, at least
he was a 2-year-old.
Reading some of the biology.
But I wasn't waiting. After all that.
Oh, no. What are you talking about? I've read some biology stuff, how Gould's, they have a tendency to have heavy bodies as far as being comparative to Easterns and stuff.
But I mean, I wasn't going to wait that long.
Now, the one that seemed to be your nemesis, how tough was Arkansas?
The first time?
Yeah.
Nothing.
I'm saying finishing it all together.
Oh, I know. Well, Arizona was a little
Both
tough.
years, or several years. I think you went how many times?
But I hunted mostly government land until I got to the Indian reservation in Arizona. They got birds. And the first time I hunted Arizona, I had one within 30 yards of me, but I wasn't ready. I screwed up. He was coming and I didn't know it. And me and the buddy I was with was standing there on the ridge, and then he walked out about 30 yards below us. And the time I got the gun up, he was gone. So that was a screw up. But it took me 2 or 3 more years. But
yeah, I know that you told me it was several trips.
In Arkansas, of course, I was in this bad of shape the last 3 or 4 years.
Right.
I went to set up pop-ups and stuff, and I was hunting a farm out there. There's a guy, he was renting the cabins to us, and he let you hunting for nothing on the land.
Yeah.
And I come close several times there, but they just first morning I was hunting in one field there, and bird come out and went out of range.
Yeah.
I consider it out of range. I don't know. He might have been 60 yards, but I don't know. I just can't take those shots most of the time. But he went down over the hill and went probably 100 more yards out on the neighbor, and boom.
Daggone.
So I know where he went.
Yeah.
But,
That sounds like a public land hunt in Virginia.
Yeah.
Bird messes up depending on what side of the ridge he goes down.
Yep.
Yeah. Was Arkansas the state you traveled the most to, you think? As far as trying to finish it? Because everybody.
All right, the first time I hunted Arkansas, I got fit in with an outfitter. It was just pay, trespassing fees.
Yeah.
And he had a trailer I was staying in, and the land I was hunting just across the dirt road from the trailer. And I went down there the first morning. He said, you might have to cross the creek. There was a little creek down there, but it had a couple old cornfields there, and it had a little bit of a ditch and trees and stuff that run out in it a little bit. So I got there before daylight and was sitting there at the corner of that field, and one started gobbling on the ridge across the creek. And I said, okay. I called a little bit, and he'd answer me. And when he answered, he was gobbling great. And after about 30 minutes of that, here he come. He sailed off that ridge right over and landed right in front of me. You couldn't get no quicker than that. And the boy that was outfit, I could kill 2 birds. He asked me, you go kill a second one? And I said, no. I should have stayed. Because they had plenty of birds. That was like 12 years ago.
Because I know you went back at least 3 times.
Yeah.
3 more times to try to get that second one.
Well, it was 3 years this last bird. And,
that's tough. That right there is a whole different level of willpower.
Well,
you've taught me that when you got to go, people understand the gas mileage, the licenses, and the willpower to go back to finish what you started.
But I'm gonna tell you, public land birds is hard.
Oh yeah, that's a fact.
So if you can find a place that's a farmer, a rancher, or anybody. I killed one in Ohio in the backyard of a friend.
All right.
I'm talking 50 yards from her house.
All right.
So you don't
know. One of the places
and that was in a subdivision.
Was that one of the places where you pheasant hunt?
No.
Or is that Illinois? You go to Illinois.
Yeah, I go to Illinois. I killed one in Illinois this year.
Well, like I said, other than Arkansas, was there any other state that you had to go to 3, 4, 5 times to finish the 2?
Actually, I had to go 3 years in South Carolina.
South Carolina.
I had one in the swamp.
And boys love our turkey hunt down there too. I know.
Yeah.
Them turkeys down there know the mile of call you use when you whip it out.
But
it's like, yep, it's a such and such.
South Carolina was rough. Actually, Georgia was tough the first couple of times. We hunted public land, me and a couple other boys. And but no, I mean,
South Carolina.
California was tough.
All right. I remember you hunted vineyards or something out there, didn't you?
Now that was the easy one.
All right. Was that with Greg Smith?
Yeah.
I'm still friends with him on Facebook. He's posted a lot of good stuff as far as stuff he's done.
Yeah, he don't live there, but I think
seems like a real nice guy.
Yeah, he is.
I've talked to him on the phone, never met him in person.
I've had a lot of quickies, a lot of places. And the last time I was in Montana was about the middle of the season, and there was a rancher there that he was an outfitter, but not for turkeys. And I up on a big rim, you could see the big river and the big, fields and stuff.
All right.
He took me in there when I got there. It was like I said, about the second, third week of the season. And we drove in about 10 o'clock, and he seasons all day. But he said, you want to, you can hunt this evening. I said, I'll probably come back out here. Well, we didn't see no birds and didn't hear none. But I got back out there right after I got at the motel room and got straightened up and got back. I pulled up in my Jeep and walked 10 feet and called, and I had 3 of them gobble. I mean, it was just, and I killed a bird 30 minutes later. They come at a run, I reckon, because they were way off when I heard them the first time. And I just sat down on top of the ridge. There wasn't nothing to cover. I could see them coming through the next ridge over, through the trees. And I got the gun up, and if the old bird had ducked, I'd never got him. But he tried to run. He tried to run, and that didn't work.
He zigged instead of zagging.
But I'm saying, Oregon, I killed 2 birds in 2 days, sitting in the same spot. And I mean, one of them flew across the creek. Landed right there. Yeah. The old outfitter was sitting behind me about 100 yards. He doesn't call. He was just an outfitter. And he took me out, and I come back the next morning. I was working 2 birds when this one showed up. And when I went back the next morning, they were gobbling again. Here he come. Man. I mean, it's just, some places was easy. Some years it just didn't work.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't know.
Yeah.
And a lot of it, you're just in the right spot at the right time.
Yeah, that Arizona deal, for me, us being 50 miles back from nothing, and what you took in, you had to take in.
That's it. Yep.
We slept in that second year. Second year, we slept in our cars.
Yeah.
And it got down to 24 degrees. That frost on the inside of the. I remember, man, it wasn't nothing. And if you stayed out on a motel, you'd have to get up and drive an hour and a half to get in there to hunt.
But I will recommend for everybody to have a GPS or where you can tell north, south,
compass.
Because I got lost there, and you know it.
Oh, I remember. And it's just different. The way the terrain looks and ridges look the same.
And after I got up high enough, I knew where it was, and I finally got up with you.
All right.
I mean, y'all done called the game warden.
Yeah. Well, Don kind of panicked, and I said, well, I know Jimmy. He's going to find his way back to the trail. And Don,
of course, I'm diabetic, so...
Hey, you can't... Yeah, you don't want to take a chance. If it gets Bayfall out there...
I had to lay down and take a rest a little while, because walking the top of them mountains wasn't all that...
We was... what was it? The elevation was like 6,000.
Yeah.
And the air, you could tell the air was thinner. It took you a day or two to get acclimated.
You had some pretty damn easy luck in that.
Yeah. Oh, I tell you, I told my friends, I could drop right now, anybody listening, that you going to Arizona, hunt the San Carlos Reservation. I could drop a pin on a map right now, and I could probably give you 90% that you going to get on a bird.
Yeah, the first day.
Yeah, because that draw in there, that old draw where the elk and stuff was coming in, the daggone turkeys loved that spot. And I said, that's it right there. That's kind of like having your favorite spot at home. I found an arrowhead, a black arrowhead in here the second year we went in there. I found that black arrow. I still got that thing too. And that tells you right there, Indians, the heritage of that. I killed both my Merriams in there 3 years apart and found that arrowhead. The heritage of that, Indians ain't going to hunt it if there's no game. Nobody's going to hunt it.
No.
To go back like that's a hunting ground. That's like finding an old wood and staying in the woods, It's going to tell you some history.
But that one, the bird I killed the first time with you.
Arizona?
Yeah.
That was 2011. Wasn't it? 2011 or 12?
Yeah. And
that was when you finished Arizona the first time.
Yeah.
You finished at your first Arizona bird. You was done with that one. I remember that's when we went with Don.
Yeah.
Or stayed with Don in his RV, in his camper. That's right.
But now that last one, there was
that was 2017.
I got out,
24.
You was in the truck, waiting on me in the truck, because you done got yours.
Yeah, we got ours at the same spot.
And I called in 7 gobblers that morning, and it wasn't daylight enough to tell
what they was.
What kind of beard he had. I mean, I know he's full fan because I could see him.
Yeah.
It was light enough for that, but it was right at daylight. Yeah. I mean, you couldn't.
Yep, I remember that. And
but yeah,
because Chris went with us the second year.
Yeah.
Chris went with us the second year, and same deal.
That's when we were sleeping in the back of the truck.
Sleeping in the vehicles. We had our little camp deal set up with the tarps over the trees. You remember we was in camp, and what was those coos? what was those deer that come right through the middle of the camp? That one was a little buck. It was 6 or 8.
It's cool. Yeah.
Coos deer.
Yeah, I got a
Come right through the camp.
I got a
40 yards away
half
from.
antler in there from one
Do you?
that the boy gave me when I killed my ghouls.
Right.
I'm gonna put it on the mount.
Oh,
I'm
coos buck.
waiting on it to come back.
Yeah, I remember. I was like, this thing's different, but that was definitely for me. That was definitely wild country.
But if they watch the video, you're talking about white birds.
Oh yeah,
They're white.
they're beautiful.
Miriam might be white, but not
Yeah.
no.
That's beautiful. Those beautiful birds, man. That's probably my favorite to date. That's probably my favorite spot to turkey hunt outside Virginia. If I was going Merriam's hunt, it's San Carlos Apache Reservation. And they have 2 different seasons. You have to apply the year before. You apply early. We didn't have no problem getting ours either year, did we?
Yeah.
It was some good hunting, but you just got to get used to that air and
I
hoof
know
it. Take plenty of drinks because, boy, it's dry.
yeah,
It's beautiful, beautiful ridges. It's similar to what we got, but it's dry as a bone, that's for sure.
Yep. The other good spot I got now is actually Nevada with Kenson Lee. Helped me out there the first time.
All right.
I've killed 3 birds in there.
Nevada.
And the first one was tough. But I tried, he got me a permit. Actually bought it at an auction. One of their
Turkey banquet?
banquets.
NWTF banquet?
Well, no, it was an elk banquet.
Elk banquet.
They sold one at like 3 different places
Rocky
in the
Mountain
state.
Elk Foundation?
Yeah.
I hear you.
And I paid like $800.
Woo.
But I'm gonna tell you what.
Sometimes that's the only way you can get in there.
Well, it takes about 8 years to get a damn permit, and you
Yeah.
got to pay $160 every year to get it, even apply. You don't get it back, so you just
Yeah.
But he said that now they're selling for $3,000.
Good day in the morning.
I tells you.
Definitely got it in the prime years anyway. Before it got. I remember we went to North Dakota. You remember when we was on that trip, and we was coming home when that gas started going crazy.
Yeah.
We left out of here. The gas was $1.79, $1.69 a gallon. And by the time we was up there, the gas up there had jumped up to, I want to say, we started seeing $2.25. We was like, what in the world? And it had been the same since. That was 2008.
I've been in California. Like I said, I've paid $4.50, $5.
Yeah, well, California's been high like that.
Yeah.
You know, that's a lot of their for taxes on their emissions. You know, all that stuff.
I don't need to go back there for nothing. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
It ain't going. A good thing I done killed 3 or 4 in there.
And it's a lot of good sportsmen out that way that hurts a lot. You know,
Yeah.
dealing with a lot of that stuff, and you know, New York same way.
Oh yeah.
New York's got beautiful country, beautiful hunting in New York and upstate
Farmland
New York.
up in there.
Beautiful, big deer
Central
and
north
nice.
of New York is beautiful.
Yeah. I've talked
You
to
go to cities and stuff. Any city sucks anymore.
lawmakers killing them. Lawmakers is killing them and running good companies out of there. But anyway, that's another story.
That's another story.
Any turkeys that you like on these hard hunts? Because gosh, I know you've several hundred of them, but ones that you really missed, whether it was a particular bird you hunted that haunted you.
Oh yeah.
I know. I just want to hear
No,
your
they
favorites.
there.
I just want to hear your favorites. One that might have got away.
The first one.
The very first one.
The very first one I ever tried to kill.
Mm.
I was using it, an old 1100 I had, and I had 2 3/4 inch shells. And I was hunting the same place I killed that one I told you that I had to crawl up
Right.
to shoot him when he hit the ground.
Right.
It was in the same area, and I went in there that morning and I was by myself, and I went up that old logging road, and I got up to the top of the ridge, and it was real windy that day. I mean windy. And I kept saying, that's a dog. And I kept hearing it, and I said, no, that ain't a dog. It was an old gobbler back down where I'd come in on a flat down there, and I went on back down where he was. And I got there and I called and he gobbled. He wasn't but 150 yards out there. But I was on the ridge that done been cut, and it had